went and was like, oh yeah, like we just got this one specific rug they have at IKEA, and we fashioned that into like, and we put some straps on it and stuff, and like muddled it a little bit.
So Jon Snow is wearing an IKEA rug on his shoulders.
He's actually not from Westeros. He's from Sweden.
I'm so glad I didn't know that during the show.
It's Weezy and Baby, and the F is for stunt though. Yeah, Lula, baby. Fuck. I'm fucking bored.
Welcome to episode 2 of the Board While Driving podcast. Today, the guests are Austin Powell and Mykal Williams. Austin is a singer-songwriter, musician, actor, friend of the show. And Mykal is a YouTuber as well as musician and personality. I'm not going to plug him here. You can plug him at the end. Today we talked about Game of Thrones Season 7. We actually recorded this way back at the end of Season 7, so that would have been friggin' way last year. Didn't have anything to do with the audio until we released this podcast channel. So without further ado, check it out and keep your eyes on the road. All right. So we're live now. We're here.
Woo-hoo. Oh yeah.
We're doing it at the at an undisclosed location. We are going to talk about Game of Thrones, specifically the season 7 finale, and we're going to talk about a little bit of what we hope and what we want for season 8.
But I think the most productive thing at the beginning is to introduce ourselves. What do you think?
That's true. You're right.
I like that idea.
I almost forgot my own name.
Forget my name every day. After you.
Happens.
Well, for those of you who don't know us, who none of you do, because this is the first one we're doing, I am BC Welfield, and this is my co-host here,
Austin Powell.
Austin Powell, a lovely, lovely person.
And also on the mic and running sound, we have Mr.
Mykal Williams. How did he do?
We sound like we're all about to start singing at the lounge.
Sit back, relax, and enjoy the cool listening styles of BC, Austin, and Mykal.
Sultry tones all around.
No, but we do. We don't want to entertain you with good vocals, although we have them. We do want to talk about some Game of Thrones stuff. So, first thing I want to talk about, I want to talk about the episode as we kind of, how it impacted us. So, like, what, just general thoughts, opening up, how did you think the finale played in accordance with the rest of the season? And
the full arc of the show.
Yeah.
Well. Mm-hmm. Who wants to go first?
I can take it. I think the finale was actually not the best episode of the season, which is
interesting. What do you think the best was?
Probably Spoils of War. The episode 4 is the shortest, but they made the most out of the time that they had. And that was before the time hopping and the time traveling that they kind of did, and they kind of extrapolated for the season.
I have a whole comment on the time traveling thing.
Yeah, well, we got to talk about that.
Yeah, but I don't think we would agree, actually. I have a whole feeling about it. But anyway, go on. You were saying about this episode.
Episode 4, we were kind of getting used to the time traveling, but it hadn't stuck out to me as like a plot failure.
Like it did in the last episode?
Like it did in episodes 5, 6, and then as a product of that 7. Although I do think the finale was better than it's probably the second best episode, and it saved what I thought was a spiral after 6. After the 6th episode, I thought they were hitting a point where they might not, kind of recapture at least people like me who are like super avid book fans and spend a lot of time thinking about this kind of stuff. I thought it was like in a spiral where I was like, oh, they're just doing TV for TV's sake. They're doing spectacle now, just for spectacle.
I think there's some truth there. I felt like, I had a similar-ish opinion where it's like, I do feel like it was overall a fairly weak season in a very, very strong show. I think people who were like, this was the best season ever, I do not agree with them.
Tripping.
No.
Well, I still liked a lot of stuff in it, and there's a lot of stuff to unpack, but I don't know, I felt like the episode was strong in the context of the season. I think I would agree with you. And I do feel like the previous episode with the whole Arya and Sansa plot, I was so mad about it. But you know, actually,
discussion.
But actually, Spoils of War was the one with when the Dothraki and the Unsullied attacked, right? The dragon attacked them, right?
Correct. Yeah.
I actually felt like my favorite episode, minus all of the Arya and Sansa plot, was when Jon and them went to North of the Wall. It was called North of the Wall, I think.
The episode 6, really?
Yeah. I actually felt like it was the best.
You know what? It was great cinematography. It was probably the best. It was movie quality television.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, the more I sit here and I think about it, the whole reason for them doing that is so forcefully contrived in the writing room that it's so evident that this is so dumb.
But like I said, in the context of the season, you're gonna say, Michael?
I was gonna say I think I like that episode too. I like episode 6, but I think I'm cool with the spectacle because we've been kind of building up to the dragons and the White Walkers and all that stuff happening. But
yeah, it's been coming for seasons and seasons now.
But I would have been more okay with it had it not kind of sacrificed the more realistic elements of the show that they originally established in the first place. Because somebody probably should have died.
Yeah, exactly.
During that whole venture, more people.
I was expecting everyone except Jon to die. I was like, we're not gonna get Clegane Bowl. They're gonna kill off the Hound. They're gonna kill, or Beric definitely is gonna die. That dude's died so many times now.
Yeah, but it was Thoros.
But Thoros, and it was from exposure. Just the cold got him.
It's just cold.
It's like fuck. And why'd they even keep him alive an extra night just for him to freeze to death? And we'll look at it.
He died in the most casual way on this show. I think that's the most he's dead.
Yeah, he gets mauled by a freaking zombie polar bear, and he's fine. And then they're like, no, we're gonna get you, buddy. We're gonna get you. And then they're all on a rock.
And he just dies.
And they just let him die, overnight. No one was paying attention to Thoros, the guy they were supposed to save.
I don't know who, by the way, can also bring everyone back to life.
Yeah, casual.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, but
usually protect the healer of the party, you know?
Exactly. No, but I don't know that they were there only one night either.
Well, yeah. Well, that's the thing.
I think it's 2 nights, I believe.
They definitely showed that it got dark and then it came light again, but it was between the Gendry running scene and then them spending so much time on that rock.
I'll tell you what, he runs.
Did not define.
I'll tell you what, Gendry runs faster than he rows. I'll tell you that.
Usain Gendry.
That's true. That's true. Marathon sprinter can't row for shit though. Definitely not all state. Okay, yeah. I mean, I think now I kind of want to talk about branching off of this. The season I think was pretty strong. But it had its moments. And is that more because they don't have the story from George R.R. Martin and they're trying their best, or, and this is something that I've seen in the news a little bit, are D.B. Weiss and David Benioff, the creators and showrunners of the show, are they just done?
Is that something that has been rumored?
Their attitudes in a lot of their interviews are kind of just they have no intention on being a part of the prequels or any of the spin-off series that they plan on doing, and they're very adamant on this is they've been adamant since about season 3 or 4 where they were we want to do this many hours of television and then that's it, and this is taking up a good decade of their lives, so how much of this is, I guess what I'm asking is, how much do we think the missteps in the plots and stuff is that because they're kind of taking their eye off the ball a little bit, or is that just because is it really only because George R. R. Martin writes such a good story?
It's hard to say. I mean, I didn't read the books, so I go purely off TV knowledge, although I know some of what happens. But I wonder how much of it is because they don't have the source material. I just think that even though that they have George R. R. Martin involved, it's having such amazing source material that's so brutal. Because what I actually think the show is lacking now is brutality. I think to balance their fan service, their fan service is absolutely necessary. They needed some kind of payoff of seasons of brutality. Yeah. But they've completely now swung in the other direction.
Yeah. They overdid it.
Yeah, and where there was, if we put up every single person's face that we that could have died this season. It was only like 3 of them that actually did.
Yeah, and you know the thing that really strikes me that I've seen a change in the show, and we could only speculate as to what it is, but the thing that I think is the most striking is the fact, you know, back in seasons 1, 2, and 3, a character couldn't make stupid choices and stay alive. They couldn't. Most of them would make smart choices and still die. So like now we have a season of everybody being really dumb, and everyone's fine. It's like Friends.
But that hurts me so much.
I don't
It's
know,
like
just assume it's a rom-com.
it betrays their character development. Like the whole, you know, this journey that we've gone for 6 years now with these characters, and then all of a sudden they're just making choices because the plot requires it.
Yeah, I think that's broad strokes. Obviously, certain characters in certain moments, that's a big thing, and then sometimes I think it is supported. But like, you know, it's not crazy to me that Jamie charged the dragon. It's crazy to me that he charged the dragon and survived.
And lived, and to the point where he fell almost, you know, 10 feet from Daenerys' feet. And she would have just been like, that guy, everybody, get him.
Yeah, like,
yeah, exactly. Like there were no consequences for what he did.
And you know I don't want to call them out like, oh, they gave us this stupid cliffhanger ending. Like they're known to do sort of these, you know, cliffhanger endings where you don't really know what happens to the character.
That's fair.
But like, you know, I felt like there could have been a better way to when they opened, not this one, but you know, the episode after, you know, Jamie charges, they're just downriver, you know. The guy that killed her father, she didn't think. you know, like you think
chase him.
Like, oh, he's about to kill me.
Must have drowned.
Oh, he's right there now, and no, he's fine. Everybody, we got to move out. We got to get the fuck out of here.
What was that? Must have been nothing.
It was nothing.
Yeah,
definitely not the.
So I do feel like it might be the lack of source material. I do feel like, you know, they might get tired of it, but then again, I mean. It depends. There's the some people are like Bryan Cranston, who are okay always being known for Walter White, and then some people are like the guy who played Hank, who every time you bring up Breaking Bad, he's like, I don't want to talk about this anymore. So they might be turning into that, but they also it might just be happenstance that they just couldn't kind of keep it up.
I think they're going all in on this Confederate idea. They're getting a lot of traction with it.
Yeah, I just hope that for the last season, I hope actually I think Mykal said this. He can elaborate, but Mykal had the idea that like, oh, you know, maybe they were trying to pull back a bit to hit us really hard the next season, but they overdid it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. Because I think because the entire series they built it like anyone is expendable, anyone could die at any time, nothing is sacred, and we've kind of been conditioned to expect that all the time. So what they probably did was they reversed it, where we keep thinking our favorite character is going to die, but they don't. Just to kind of trick us, but like you said, I think they did it too much this season, and I think next season they're gonna go ham and then like really start killing people off.
I hope.
This is what I'm hoping for, is that they basically took season 7 and 8, and it was like originally supposed to just be like one season, kind of like the final Harry Potter movie, and then they split it into 2, and like the first one's just a punt, you know.
Yeah.
You know, we're gonna come back next season, and we're gonna do it the right way.
We're gonna finish the season.
But we gotta. I guess this was kind of just like their table setting. For the finale.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep that in mind too when watching this season.
I hope. All right, what else?
Well, I want to talk about the zip lining, the time traveling.
Zip line.
Is
that a thing? I don't know.
The jetpack, whatever you want to call it, where all of a sudden a character's in one place.
It's a transmission.
And then, you know, one scene later he's across the map, and they don't. For a show that has the map in the opening credits, you would kind of hope for
scale.
And they've been pretty, you know, good about it, you know, seasons 1 through 6 on you know, giving
some people have complained for quite a few seasons.
Yeah, that's true. Like Varys really jumping a lot. Like people to say he's like, oh, he's the fastest man alive. Like he just everywhere.
Well, that was the thing at the end of season 6. Is like he was in Highgarden, or he was in Dorne, and then all of a sudden he's sailing with Daenerys back from Essos. Like it was like that's just a weird fuck.
But you can make the argument that I know I've always made, and I know Mykal agrees with this. Is, you know, they don't ever state the amount of time between scenes. So
they do hint though. They do hint.
They hint, but they don't always, like, you know, it could be days, weeks.
It's usually by like hearsay, where you'll hear somebody going like, "Oh, did you hear what happened in the north?" And then
exactly. Yeah. But like when they talk about, you know, a few things, and they're like, that was years ago, and it was like a season or 2 ago. I might be over.
Right. Yeah, when Sam was talking about how he brought Bran to the wall, whatever, he's like, yeah, that was years ago. So they did. That was last season, right? That was last season,
exactly.
So obviously there's a lot of time skips.
So
happening.
I think the main point.
Why is that baby not older then? Why is that baby still a
baby?
Yeah,
the thing is about babies and casting though is to a certain degree, it's like, okay, when it comes to very young children, you can only do so much. But the thing that I would posit is that, I think if you acknowledge the fact that certain things could be longer amount of time between them, it's kind of like, I don't see that as a big thing. I just can't get on board with that.
I wouldn't find a huge problem with it. And like I said, the first episodes 1, 2, 3, all the way up into 4, I was like, they need to speed it up a little bit because they don't have as much of the in-between story as they used to. But, they have to speed it up. But they are glossing over a lot of breathable moments where we kind of we have the opportunity to get invested in what the characters are doing. Yeah,
but the thing I would say is, in the beginning of like that last episode where it was Jaime and Bronn on the wall being like, maybe it's all Cox in the end. Like, that was a breathable moment. People were like, why is this in the episode?
Well, okay, but all right.
You said that.
I know, but that's a great point. Except for the fact that I wouldn't have like a huge problem with it, except that, and this is obviously like a meta conversation where the showrunners are on record saying like, it's going to be a shortened season 7 and a shortened season 8 because we want to tell it in this amount. We only have so much story, and this is the perfect amount of time to tell the story. And for them to be speeding up this fast, I mean, they have to speed up a little bit, but for them to go make this big of a jump, and then they say, well, we don't have any more time. It's like, well, you could have had an extra 3 hours in this season, an extra 4 next.
We don't know how much of that might be HBO.
Yeah, that could be network stuff.
The network doesn't want them to make more episodes and make more money? That doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe it's because they have
I don't know shit about that, but to me, if I'm a fucking HBO exec and my showrunners are coming to me and I'm used to 10 episodes and they go, we're going to do 7, I'm like, that's 3 weeks I'm losing out on viewership.
It could be like they're focusing on the spin-offs potentially now because they have like a handful of spin-offs, and maybe they're trying to get this out of the way potentially, and then like go on to the other stuff and kind of branch the universe and the world and the franchise and all that good stuff.
Could be, but I would hate that even more than
that's totally fair.
Well, we're gonna fuck up the end of this series so we can sell more
action
figures. But you know what? That exactly is what an HBO executive.
We need to sell more action figures.
Yeah.
I don't even know if are we allowed to be like indicting fucking HBO on this?
I mean, we ain't working for them, so.
The Hound action figure coming to Toys R Us.
Toys R Us.
Burns and all.
Comes with matches.
All right.
Yeah, it's annoying when they have like limitations because we don't know why they have the limitations.
There could be a million factors.
It is a drastic jump from like every other season to now. It's just like they're really blowing through it.
Now so here's a follow-up question. Now that they've sped through this season and they've gotten, like this scene right here, they get everybody in one place. Like all of the major characters are here. Mm-hmm. Now that they have this set up for them, is season 8 also going to have that much like time jumping, or are they going to be able to tell like one story that's complete in the time amount it takes? Like
that's tough.
I'm wondering if because like they all seem to be in like central locations. Like most people are in the north at Winterfell, or they're headed there, and then you have like Cersei, Qyburn, and the mountain in King's Landing, and that's pretty much it.
I don't know. I mean, when it comes to the time jumps, again, it doesn't. How they tell the story, huh? It never bothered me.
It doesn't bother me either, really.
Fuck both of you, man.
It is a big jump. I can understand why it would be jarring, though. And comparing it to the first.
I like the fact that all the characters together when they, like for example, I like the fact that all the characters together when we get to see these different personalities and how these fully formed people interact, and then that's why it becomes so jarring when, like I said this earlier, is Arya and Sansa's whole arc about like them completely defying, like, and for the people listening, see, I feel like Arya and Sansa were obviously smarter than they were acting this whole season, and maybe it was set up for us, the viewer, to know that for them to eventually turn it and then betray Littlefinger. But the argument that I made when I was watching the show with these guys is, if you have a situation where on one hand, if things go a certain way, you'll be like, man, this is stupid. This is bad television. And then the other road, you're like, okay, that's fine. That means that it was not good writing. Like you have to, both outcomes have to be believable. Either Littlefinger got them and fucked them over, or they did what they did. But the way that they set it up, I just like, Arya would never kill her sister. Like, she's a total crazy person, but she would never do that. And Sansa's not that dumb anymore. She's shown to be like a serious badass.
Yeah, they wanted to play us. Both of them. They wanted to have their cake and eat it too.
And look,
there.
I love the creators of this show, but I remember I saw like a snippet of them afterwards being like, yeah, we just really love that scene. We love the tension. And I was just like, man, fuck you guys. Like, it was not believable. Nobody believed it.
Yeah. Well, that was like my thing when I was first watching it. I was like, oh, well, of course she's not gonna kill Sansa. I think she's just playing the game of faces. It's whatever.
Right.
But then, like you brought up the point, like if it's not believable, then you're not really building the tension that you're intending on building in the first place. It doesn't actually.
So it's either bad writing
it's like,
or an obvious setup.
Yeah,
exactly. I think that's the trademark of the season is they had great parts where like maybe there's all Cox in the end. There was great writing moments.
Oh yeah.
But I think what the contrast is that the cinematography, the acting, the score, everything is so perfect and top notch, like it always is. And then on the parts where the writing fails, it's like, oh wait, that shouldn't be here. Yeah, that's out of place.
That's not right.
And it like kind of stands out, and that's why.
Well, when you're a top shelf, in my opinion, when you're a top shelf show for 6 seasons in a row.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden you're like kind of just like half batting or whatever baseball
just
metaphor
check swing. Just check swinging.
Check swinging. It's like, no, that doesn't feel right. But that said, there is a lot of good stuff. It's always easier to point out.
There are more flubs this season than any other season, for sure. Like noticeable flubs, like of course, like that's a little weird.
It's okay though, because Daenerys looks amazing.
And I still want to grow Jon's beard.
and wear his cape.
Yeah, it's not a weird thing. Don't worry about it. What else we got?
I think that's pretty much it on the kind of the meta discussion parts. I think we can just kind of move into like the episode breakdown, talk about the scenes that we want to talk about.
We're breaking down the episode.
We're gonna break it down. Obviously I think the biggest scene right here, the first scene that they lead up to, is this dragon pit scene. A lot of crazy interactions, a lot of reunions that we haven't got to see in a while.
Yeah.
A lot of it was fun. A lot of it stood out to me as why were they doing that?
What specifically?
Well, let me see if I can try and find it.
I just loved all the shots of people having opinions about things.
Yeah.
Like, that's weird.
So I guess the scene itself I thought was set up good.
I love it.
Well, I guess. But when they're all like walking on the road and they have like Pod and Tyrion have their little reunion and then bro, you can
Ron
suck his cock later,
yeah.
and they all have, and Brienne and the Hound like reminiscing over their little murder trial that they have in Arya. That was all good, but
and Brienne and Jaime, right?
And well, I think they looked at each other a little bit when he walks in.
Wistfully.
Yeah.
But
they're so in love. Go on.
They do all these reunions. It's all nice, but it seems like those where they took about like 5 minutes to do the walk up and like get everybody into place, where it felt like not much was going on and it felt very fan servicey. And the fan service part of some of the looks where they'll like linger on someone, like looking at another person, they'll go over to that person.
It's like Dragon Ball Z.
And it's like Dragon, it had a hint of that, not much, because we're actually looking at real people like trying to convey real emotions with their face, but it did.
I agree with you.
Stood out to me.
I just felt like the tension was so earned because it's such a tense situation.
Hey, I mean, don't get me wrong.
They could all decide to murder each other at any moment.
But that was what's interesting. It was like who. I was interested in seeing who was gonna kind of have that like edge to him. Obviously, Cersei was going to have like, I don't want to be with anybody. But I was interested to see if Brienne and maybe the Hound were gonna have maybe like a little animosity towards each other. Absolutely none.
Them bonding over Arya.
Yeah, they bonded over.
That was my heart.
Yeah, I like
so
that.
happy.
I
was pumping my fist.
And when honestly, and I'm sure listeners will agree with this, is like when he said something along the lines of she said something along the lines of I was just trying to protect him and protect Arya, and he was like, so was I, and I was just like, hold on. I just gotta wait 1 second.
Yeah, and she was like, I feel bad for anyone who gets in her way, and Hal was like, it won't be me.
And he got that little smirk on his face. He's
Yeah.
like, oh, so proud
So
of her.
heartwarming.
So let's see here. Actually, I want to talk about right before, actually way before this, when they first all get set and Cersei's standing there, and after Daenerys comes in on the dragon, which by the way was like freaking awesome.
Yeah.
It was that whole scaling down the fucking
Better
dragon
than
pit.
rolling up in a Rolls Royce.
Oh, way better. Way better.
Slightly
nothing,
better.
Nothing classier than just coming in on a dragon.
Yeah.
Just,
Goddamn.
And the biggest dragon.
but once they get everybody all set, and the Hound immediately goes right for the mountain and says his little piece.
Clegane Bull get hype.
Get hype.
Confirmed.
Clegane Bull.
Confirmed.
Ah,
I was so ready.
why didn't they give it to us now?
Because it
It's
wasn't appropriate.
not a right time for that.
It's like, it's
not from a
Clegane.
writing standpoint or a universe standpoint.
Yeah, because like, hold on, everyone, I'm gonna have this really tense, peaceful meeting. We're just gonna do a Clegane Bowl
Yeah, we're
real
gonna do
quick
a-
and then put the plot back on track.
Yeah.
I mean, this meeting
That would've
clearly
been
was
really
not
weird.
supposed to go completely and totally to shit. It was supposed to set up later something else going to shit. And I feel like the Clegane Bowl would have been necessarily problematic. Plus, if they're gonna Clegane Bowl, it has to be a trial by combat. Everyone knows.
Yeah. It would have been very weird
Yeah.
for them to just suddenly do a duel.
Well, maybe not a duel, but
Hey, the fans want us to duel. We should duel real quick, right?
Yeah, because
I
that's fan servicey.
I just
Now
felt-
you're asking for fan service.
Well, no.
Make
Well,
up your mind, BC.
Here's what I'm saying is that I think the fan service comes from when they literally put right in a part for them to confirm Clegane Bowl for next season. Like, why did the Hound even?
But I agree with you. But
In
It
my-
would have been weird for him not to interact with him.
yeah,
though.
because
well,
they
that's
hate each other.
and this is what I'm saying. This is why I say maybe not Clegane Bowl, maybe not them fighting to the death, but I feel like those two have such an animosity towards each other and such a drive to kill one another that it would have been on sight that they would have immediately went for each other, and then everyone else would have been like, "Hey, fuck off, you two."
Well, I think the Hound knows better right now, though.
Yeah.
He knows that there's a greater
yeah, right.
threat because he
He-
saw the vision and the fire and all that
He was
stuff.
saved
So
by the seven, right? That fucking.
yeah, so I think the Hound, at the very least, is more
And
controlled,
obviously-
and the Mountain's controlled by Cersei. So it's like he's not going to do anything crazy unless she gives the word.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just when he walked up to him, it was the wording was clunky. He was like, "You know who's coming for you."
Yeah.
Me. I was just like,
I liked it.
I liked it because at the time I was just like, yes, Clegane Bowl, we're fucking definitely gonna get it now. But I just thought that after the rewatch,
It would be way better and more brutal if they didn't now.
Yes, it just killed off the Hound.
I'd be so happy.
Yeah. That's very Game of Thrones of them to do.
I'd be so happy about that. Even though I really
I would be
Clegane
happy that I would be happy that I was upset about it. You know.
All I know is
Yeah.
if they do yeah, because that's Game of Thrones. If they do a Clegane Bowl, all I know is I want the Hound to scream, "You killed her! You murdered her! You raped her! You raped her!" And then the Mountain be like, "What? Hold on a minute."
It comes full circle. Let's see here. What's some other? Oh, they do the whole. Here's the white, and this is how you kill it, and this is what we need to do, and the great war has come. John's whole speech
It's
thing.
front of the class presentation.
Right, and then Cersei.
What'd you bring today, John? I brought a White Walker. You could like kill it with fire and stuff, and
We have these
Sit down,
nifty knives. So they do that, and Cersei is visibly scared and visibly taken aback by it, but then doesn't. Or no, actually, you know what she does? She does offer herself. The dead are the true enemy, but only if John doesn't lie. And,
Or doesn't swear.
Doesn't swear. Yeah.
Doesn't
And then
swear, so
and he didn't lie.
and then he doesn't lie. Yeah.
It's Jon Snow.
Fuck me and my brain. Jon Snow. And
Jon Snow does not lie.
Jon Snow will not go for this.
You knew nothing, Jon Snow.
And so
Especially had a lie.
so Cersei's like, well, fuck all this then, and he leaves, and then they go.
She leaves.
She leaves, and then Tyrion's like, could you just fucking lie just once, just the one time to save the world, that's it. That's all we're asking.
What did he say? He liked the best, most Jon Snowy thing to say.
Yeah, he said it was
Time lies.
yeah, if oh shit, I forget it. It's no.
Everyone's lying. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
Fuck you guys.
when words stop
it.
meaning things, then there's only better and better lies.
Ooh, Jon Snow.
I know, coming out with
Jon
it.
Snow for president.
And it's a great line, and
Yeah.
it fits his character.
Great line.
And and he even mentions, and we're gonna have to talk about it, but the over the head slapping that they do with Ned Stark being Jon Snow's father. Cersei going like, I would only trust the son of Ned Stark to hold his word.
Mm-hmm.
And like, not any of you fucking cunty bitches, but
Cunty bitches.
Accurate.
But Jon, true to his character, liked it. Thought it was a good character moment.
And I just
Yeah.
love that Daenerys was like, I didn't like it, but I respected it. Well, at this
Yeah.
point, she's already like,
She's on
in.
board.
Whatever Jon does. That moment that he was like, I'm going north of the wall, and I'm gonna save everyone. She was like, I love you. like 2 episodes ago, it was all over her face. Can we talk about like Emilia Clarke's freaking acting this season? I loved it. Like people are always like, she's so stone faced, but I feel like we finally got an opportunity for like these little moments of like behind this stone face, like all this emotion.
She actually got to have like an interaction with a person who's almost her equal,
Yeah.
the character wise. And I think that helped Amelia because a lot of, I think what she was doing last season was pretty much just herself, and then a lot of CGI with the dragons and stuff.
Those
And
dragons.
here she actually got to, she had what six of these episodes with Jon Snow, somebody that she could actually like, I mean, and there's a lot of people have different opinions on Kit Harington's acting, but Daenerys
Really?
actually had somebody that she could.
There's only one opinion in my world, which is that it's brilliant.
Oh,
And,
I agree.
Oh,
yeah, Kit Harington.
Those people know nothing.
I'm gonna need to direct you to some Reddit threads. They're gonna have some
Man.
some fun opinions on his brooding.
But his brooding is so genuine.
It's character-driven brooding. They even make a joke about his brooding.
Yeah,
Jon
seriously.
Snow is a brooder.
Can you blame him for brooding?
He has his own
I would
CW show.
I would be
okay?
He's
brooding
lived a
if I
tough
was
life.
Jon Snow.
He's lived a tough life. He's been a wildling. He's talked like a wildling. He fucks like a wildling.
No, that's true.
But no, I think this was a good. It was a good season for Daenerys because she actually had somebody that she could have an extended interaction with and have multiple scenes over.
And fall in love with.
And she got to express an emotion she hasn't.
And you know what really bothers me is
been
that
able to do.
I have read some people online who are like, I don't like that she's falling for this guy, and like how do you take one of the strong? How do you get mad that the strongest character on the show is interested in someone? Like it's not like she's it's not like she's a character who had a lot of potential to be strong, but like they just sold her off to some romantic relationship. And by the way, just talking about her and Jon, like in that relationship, and we'll talk more about it. She is kind of wearing the pants in that relationship. So how are you gonna get mad that this super strong female, strong woman, fucking warrior with 3 dragons falls in love with this guy who swears his allegiance to her?
People always do that. Like
They're
if a strong female character happens to fall in love, that makes them weak all of a sudden.
Yeah, they're allowed
That's
to
not
fall
how that
in love.
works.
People fall in love. That's okay.
Yeah.
And you're completely right. Like she is the strongest character, and she's dictating the terms. And Jon's like, yeah, sure. What size pants do you want? Here you go.
Yeah.
And
Whatever
Don't
you
even
say.
give a shit.
and
Whatever you say, Auntie.
Yeah. Oh God.
Instead of daddy, it's auntie.
I'm
Instead of
so
mommy.
interested in how he's gonna react to that information.
Oh,
'cause
he's not gonna be
not
cool
gonna
with
he
it.
has some serious hang-ups about sex,
Already.
all the way back
Yeah.
from season 1 when they're like, you know where to put it, right? And he's like, yeah, of course I know where to put it. I think.
Oh,
You know that's your aunt, right? Yeah, of course. God.
Doesn't everyone fuck their aunt?
I didn't know at the time, but I'm into it. Yeah, I know. It's really bad.
Whatever.
Well, I mean, after he finds out, he's not really gonna have much choice because, she's got dragons. She wants that dick. She's gonna get that dick.
He's gonna do what she
Yeah,
wants.
he's making up for her lost dragon
Oh.
with his dragon.
Yeah. Overall, I think A+ season for Emilia Clarke.
Oh yeah. And I say for
Daenerys.
Jon Snow. I'd say
Jon
for
Snow.
all,
Jon Snow killed
I never
it.
really had a problem with any of the actors, really.
No, and honestly, I also feel because as an actor, I can see the fact that a lot of the time, some bad acting moments aren't actually bad acting, but bad writing, and an actor
Yeah.
being
And/or directing.
unable, and an actor being unable to lift the heavy weight of a bad moment,
Yeah.
which is kind of not their fault. So, but even then, some of the bad moments, which I thought were still few and far between on the acting front, were Game of Thrones acting is always stupendous.
Yeah.
I love everything Peter Dinklage does
It's on
forever.
it. Oh my, yeah, Peter Dinklage.
Definitely. The Dinkles.
The Dinkles.
And actually, that brings us beautifully to this scene, the
Dinklageburg.
Cersei Tyrion scene. So after the dragon pit scene, he's like, I'm the only one that can convince her.
This is such an interesting dynamic.
And he goes up there and
Have a drink.
The score while he's walking down after he says his goodbye to Jaime and they have the little brother moment. When he's walking back and the mountain's just right behind him. You can't really see the full mountain frame, but he's very present and then enters the room. It's very dark. Closes the door. How much did you think he was gonna die here?
I thought it was possible.
Yeah.
I mean, if I thought about the context of this season, I would have said it's not possible. But in Game of Thrones, it's totally possible.
This is because they hadn't even hinted at any sort of danger for Tyrion for so long now that
Thought it might be.
Totally agree.
when this season was going, or when this scene was going down, and he was just walking through the chamber and the mountain was behind him, I was like, oh god, this is it. Like they're gonna fuck us over and kill Tyrion, and I was starting to get some pangs. And then and you're right. It was I was on fucking pins and needles this whole goddamn interaction.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing I'll say, even though they are holding back now, I feel like most shows wouldn't be able to get away with that feeling because most of the time you're like, oh, well, they're fine. You kind of sense the danger, but, it's kind of airy, fake danger where, know, that everyone has plot armor. With Game of Thrones, Tyrion legitimately could have died in that moment. And that moment works so much more concisely because of the previous season setting up people dying all the time.
And then he doesn't even believe that she didn't do it right there.
Yeah.
No, I think he didn't think it would happen. I think
he was betting that it wouldn't, but I think he kind of knew it would.
He put his chips in.
He was kind of gambling
But
a little bit.
he loves to gamble, that Tyrion.
Because he's been gambling this whole season.
So,
but just the thing I want to add about this scene is that I feel like my biggest thing that I think is the most interesting about it is that Cersei has already planned this interaction.
Right, that's what I wanted to ask
him.
you. Is that so? Why doesn't she kill him here?
Well,
I don't think we know yet.
Because, and I do think we know because she kind of reveals it to Jaime. Is that
you're right.
I think it's implied that she wants him to find out about the pregnancy, and then agree,
Right.
and make Tyrion think that she's in a true position of I'm gonna help you guys because I do care about my children, my child.
Yeah, you're right.
And then she says to Jaime, I'm gonna fuck them over now.
Yeah.
And Jaime's like, nah. But the real question I have is, does Tyrion believe her?
Does he believe her, and what did he promise? Because
Does he promise something?
they don't show it. This is what happened right here. They, I only care what it costs us. You killed our dad. Oh, they talk for a little bit more. But then, you killed him. But she does her little, I only care about my family. And then he goes, you're pregnant. And then the scene ends.
maybe.
She's like, what?
No, and then the scene, it'll end. And then the next thing we see is Jon and Dany talking, having the little, can you have kids? Can I fuck you? And,
Can I
and then Tyrion comes in with
Dana Kessler brings up, yeah, so I can't get pregnant. Want to try maybe?
Jon's just like, you don't know how your uterus works.
Go on, back to Tyrion though.
But then after we get their little canoodling, then Tyrion and Cersei come out, and Cersei's like, we'll fight. But we don't see what changed from, oh, you're pregnant, to
I don't think he
she's gonna
necessarily
fight.
promised something.
Had to.
I think that he convinced her when it came to the family thing. But I don't. Well, hold on. I don't think he actually convinced her. I think she was already going to. She was already going to. This scene.
Yeah, that's what she
was
wanted.
her play. Was that to
Right.
lure them into a false sense of security by making Tyrion think that she's pregnant.
But what is she getting out of that?
Well, they're like, oh, she really.
It's a power play.
Tyrion thinking, you know what? She really actually sees this threat, and she doesn't want her kid to die.
I guess.
Right, she's playing a long game.
I guess.
Yeah.
I guess the long game would then be we'd have to accept the fact that before this scene and before this meeting, she's already planning on getting the Golden Company over here, and I guess
She
that's
is.
her.
Well, she says so because you're on at the beginning of this little meetup, this little meet and greet. Sails to Essos and is like, hey, she told me to do some stuff and to bring you guys over. She says that to Jaime at the end of the episode. When Euron left, she had already talked to him.
Well, and here's the thing is
This whole thing was planned for Cersei.
I don't know if I can find it,
Which is
but
believable.
I think, and I could be completely fucking wrong, but there was an article with the director that said at the time, Euron, or maybe it was one of the actors, but Euron was definitely leaving, and that in a scene where we don't see, she like convinces him not to go home and instead go to Esso's.
That's not correct.
That's not?
That doesn't make sense.
I thought I read that.
Well, even if they said that doesn't actually make sense
I
because
know.
she says to Jamie, you honestly think he'd just walk away from me? He left because I told him to. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, and that's what it looks like that.
Which makes sense because if you think about it, that was really weird. But it didn't bother me because I was like, okay, I see why that happened.
Yeah, once we find
Right,
out
yeah.
that like her plan is to go get the Golden Company, I guess that makes a little bit more sense.
Yeah.
Like if she can just somehow get Dany and Jon and Tyrion kind of like off her back for like a month or two, then she'll be able to get the Golden Company.
That's
and
the plan.
And then make them think.
Yeah.
I guess that makes sense, but
It makes total sense, and I actually think that's very Cersei thing to do.
It's mostly the other scene after that.
here's the
bothered me.
thing. Here's the thing about Cersei is that she has a very long history of what she thinks is her like brilliant mastermind plans coming back to fuck her rightfully in the ass, like with the High Sparrow and
Yeah.
that she
Yeah.
it's more evident in the books, and
Interesting.
maybe I'll get you to read it sometime. But there's plenty of instances where she's trying to be Tywin, she's trying to be the leader of the Lannister
She wants to be
house,
Tywin
and
so
she
bad.
wants to make those chess moves, and she does, and she's actually in the book she comes off much more insane, but she makes her chess moves.
That's
and
impressive because she comes off as pretty insane in this.
yeah, no, but she's like
She blew up an entire religious center
yeah, I know.
in a city of
tons of
a million
innocent people in there.
yeah.
I like how they just gloss over that fact too.
Yeah.
Like they don't mention that thing like at all.
She
during the season.
has plausible deniability. She has plausible deniability that everyone knows she did it, but no one can prove it, and there's no one to rise up against her anymore.
Yeah.
So who's going to
We also don't see any of the civilians' interactions, so we don't know what they're thinking.
And
Yeah.
by the way,
They're very subservient, those King's Landing people.
yeah. Well, what are they going to do?
Oh, you're in charge now. All right, cool.
No,
That's
but
fine.
the more interesting thing is when she, I forget in one of the episodes of the season, real quick, we'll say this before we move on, is like she is talking to the lords in her chamber and saying that, I think it was maybe the previous episode of this, and like there's an air of this woman's fucking crazy. Like they're like,
Yeah.
they're not like, yeah, we love you, they're the best. Like they're like, yeah, we know that she killed everybody.
Yeah.
So we're just
Yeah,
gonna
yeah.
go along because we want to stay alive.
Yeah, there's no better option right now.
Yeah. That's why I think when Daenerys takes the throne, it's gonna work out.
That makes sense.
What do we got next?
Assuming Daenerys takes the throne.
Yeah, which I don't know if she
I don't
will.
think she will.
Yeah, me neither.
Well, that's gonna
Too
get
easy.
hairy. It's gonna get hairy because
John's gonna find out that he's the heir to the Iron Throne.
John doesn't care about power.
But he doesn't give a fuck about that.
Yeah, he doesn't care about that.
But here's the problem, and here's what I've said about Dany, and we're skipping ahead a bit. Her whole character ideology, the center of who she is built on her claim to the throne. Her power, her dragons, her people's respect for. Yes, they love her because she's a great leader, but I would actually stipulate her followers love her because she's a great leader. They don't care about her claim, but that's always been her main thing. And when she finds out that the man she loves has a stronger claim than her, that's going to drive a serious wedge between them. Also, she fucked her nephew.
Also,
So that wasn't the best.
Side
do you
notes.
think she's gonna have any hangups about that?
she probably wait about fucking a nephew.
You know the interesting thing? I think John isn't going to care about the Iron Throne, but he's going to really be weirded out about the Auntie thing.
In the reverse about.
and I
With
think
Daenerys.
Daenerys is going to be like, incest is fine, whatever. But
my family does it all the time.
yeah, but my entire identity is built on this thing that is no longer true, and she's going to resent him.
Yeah, she's like, I've been
Yeah.
sold as a slave. I've been raped. I don't care about any sexual hangups you have. Just,
Yeah,
I want the damn throne.
yeah. Well, that's the problem. Is she's also has some honor. So what does she do with that?
Right. And they're probably not going to communicate that
That's
either.
probably gonna-
There's just
yeah.
going to be tension, and they're not going to talk about why.
I
other
think
than that.
That'll be
it could set
interesting,
her.
actually.
I think it could go one of two ways. I think she could either. I almost feel like she should turn against him because of that. And yet it could. I feel like it could be character supported because Daenerys does have a way of going off.
I don't.
Yeah, she
in the
does.
right situation.
And they've been setting that up a lot too.
Yeah, and that's the thing is that that could be the thing that kind of points her towards like a mad queen
Yeah,
status.
She could become the villain.
where where even if it's only temporary, she becomes a villain for like an episode or two, or for a specific arc. But I think you're completely right. Where John's not gonna care, but she is, and it's gonna mess with her to the point where she's
Right.
gonna.
Maybe
It's gonna create that tension. I don't know how that tension's gonna.
maybe
present itself,
hardcore
but-
Dany fans will hate this, but like. I think if the question of who's going to end up on the Iron Throne is only between two people. I think it's between Jon Snow and the Night King. That's it. I don't think Dany actually has a shot in the long run because of who she is and because of her tendencies. I think it's going to be Jon Snow, which is a bit fan servicey, or if it's going to be in true Game of Thrones fashion, what if the humans lose? That'd be.
But then what's the point? What's the point of everything?
It's a cautionary tale.
They literally set all these plot points up for no reason.
It's actually about global warming.
or except the opposite of global warming.
Until not that I make the most accurate.
Well, this is what happens when the icebergs come down. They kill everything.
Yeah, right. Don't melt the icebergs. Keep them where they belong. No, but I don't know.
Do you think there even is going to be an Iron Throne? Because you're right. If the Night King reigns, he doesn't have much use for the throne. His whole thing is just covering.
That's what he wants. He wants the Iron Throne. That's it.
Yeah, he just wants that. And
he actually just wants to experience those cool Dornish summers. Land vacation in Dorne. Nice cabana by the beach. Go on.
But he, but you know they set a little plot point up for next season where Tyrion says to Daenerys, because they're so fucking goddamn worried about her womb and whether it can have a child or not.
Right.
And there's other ways of picking a successor.
I think she's
Night's Watch. Have an election.
I think she's gonna get pregnant from Jon. I think
definitely.
Duh. It just feels like that's the.
And they set that up with Jon, like, oh, you could pass the sword on to your children. And there was a little pause.
Oh yeah.
So
Jorah's.
And here's the funny thing.
Such a great moment.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Here's the funny thing. If it almost compounds the issue of them having, because like if they had incest and then Jon's like that happened one time and now it's done, but if she got pregnant and then now he has to live with that, that's way worse and way more Game of Thrones.
And his whole thing is and he said it before, like why would he want to bring a child in under the circumstances of of this world and he was raised a bastard. He always hated the way he was kind of ostracized from his family, even though the Starks were, as far as Westerosi families go, a more welcoming group.
Yeah.
But he was bastardized.
Really, because I thought that maybe one of them would try to kill their own sister. It seemed like that.
Yeah, you're right.
That's
convincing. They seemed really bloodthirsty and they hated each other all the time.
Yeah, right. Totally. Totally believable.
Yeah, they really fucked that part up.
Yeah, they sure did. All right, what's next? What do we got?
We got Jaime and Cersei. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about
James and Cersei.
I hated it.
Hated it.
Hated what? Hated what exactly?
I hated that whole interaction. Or I hated the way the interaction ended.
What do you mean?
So, like, she was like, "Oh, kill him," and then she didn't.
Jaws the blade.
It's confusing.
Jaws the blade, and he doesn't do it for some reason.
Which
I
is
guess
very.
Are they like telepathic because he knew she didn't actually want him to do it, or she was just doing a power play?
Maybe they have a standing like two command rule. Like, if I tell you to kill someone, I don't
Yeah.
really mean it.
Yeah, and
It's
like
the second time that I mean it.
that's the first problem.
You have to call me 3 times.
Mountain.
For those of you who don't know, Austin doesn't answer his phone unless you call him 3 times in a row, and that's how he knows you actually want to talk.
That's allegedly true. Go on, Michael. Michael, you're saying?
Yeah, there's three main problems. That's the first problem. The second problem is they set it up the reverse. So like you would think she would kill Tyrion, but she didn't. So it would be pretty crazy if you wouldn't think she would kill Jaime, but she did kill Jaime.
I was sitting there.
Yeah, it's like, oh shit, she's gonna actually kill Jaime.
Yeah,
that would have been a lot more.
That would have been great writing.
And 3, that's like the 8th time Jaime's dodged a major death bullet in this season, like
for no reason.
For no reason, like, do we need to keep Jaime? Like, I love Jaime as a character, but
well, they must be saving him for something crazy.
Yeah, but they shouldn't have put him in that situation.
Again, and this is what I think we've all said in different ways. Is like it's not that they kept people alive. It's not that they save people. It's don't put them in a situation they need saving from. Don't make them be dumb enough to make decisions that they need saving in Deus Ex Machina ways.
Yeah. And it's not that Jaime was dumb per se for being in that situation.
The dragon one he was, but this one no.
The dragon one, yeah, but in this one no. But like it was just that like.
I thought she should have killed him.
Why did he not die?
Especially because of the Tyrion. I think Michael makes an amazing point. Because the Tyrion thing, like not killing the brother she hates and then killing the brother she loves, like it's just that'd be so Cersei.
Right.
Yeah.
And that would make sense too, because she, in her mind, she's playing the one she's saving or letting go. She's really just playing him for the long game, and then
the one she loves is betraying her, quote unquote.
Betraying her,
right.
And that would just it would have made sense, and it would have been great writing.
But I guess it shows that she still has love for him. She couldn't actually do it.
Yeah.
Which I'm cool with. I'm cool with that. It's just the way they did it. I think they shouldn't have said.
Yeah, because they literally said it as a parallel, like, "Oh, do it." Like,
Why?
In the same episode too.
Yeah, in the same episode.
Why? And now, just because we're already talking about it, why is Jamie going solo dolo?
Solo dolo.
Yeah, where is he going?
Well, I would imagine north.
Those Dornish
He's gotta-
summers.
Yeah, he's.
Cabana and
Dorn
Dorn.
summer.
He's like, oh, you know when I went to go rescue my daughter?
Jamie's the Night King.
It was really nice down there. I should go back.
Yeah.
Little summer
Yeah, where
vacay.
she died.
Winter's about to come. Might as well get the last couple beach days in. But no, I think he's going north. He's dressed in all black. He has no Lannister colors. He's taking the black is a lot what I'm reading online right now is the symbolism behind it.
I mean, I don't think he's going to take the black. It's kind of
No, but like when he puts
Night's
the
Watch is kind of done.
Yeah.
when he puts the
They
black
failed.
Dungeon rings.
No, but the symbolism
Yeah.
of putting the black glove over his golden hand.
Yeah, well, I think what they're setting up is all the people who have Valyrian steel are going to meet in one place
Right.
to fight the White Walkers, is what it seems. Because Sam's in the north, and now you got Arya, Jon, Jamie.
Why doesn't he take? And why doesn't he? I guess my thing is he's the commander of the Lannister forces. Why doesn't he take the Lannister army?
Because he's not the commander. The queen is.
Yeah.
Well,
Cersei would have
that would require a commander under Jamie to not follow Jamie's orders and instead follow Cersei's.
Which is believable.
Yeah, that's probably what would
Because-
happen.
Believable.
Yeah.
Okay.
He
that-
probably didn't even want to deal with it.
Okay,
he
that's-
was like, all right.
That's fine. We can assume that somehow.
And also, he's not trying to start a war with Cersei. He's just like, I can't be a part of this.
Yeah.
Okay, so then where's Bronn?
Where's
Chilling.
Bronn?
Why isn't Bronn with him?
Dornish summers.
Because what reason does Bronn have to stay in King's Landing if Jamie's left and he obviously sees that Tyrion has the greener
And also,
grass?
Bronn's kind of under threat too.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a neutral character.
He's definitely on friggin' Cersei's radar because he betrayed him by bringing Tyrion into King's Landing and setting up that meeting.
Even though she knew about it.
Yeah, even though she knew about him, let him live. But he's definitely there. He's on Cersei's at least like somewhat target list, and he's loyal to Tyrion and he's loyal to Jamie, and they're both not there anymore. So why isn't? I mean, I guess it was a cool shot, just kind of seeing Jamie solo dolo against the world, like abandoning everything.
Bronn's just gonna be there in the next scene.
Well, that would actually kind of be funny if like Bronn just like shows up in Winterfell. He's already at Winterfell, and like Jamie's coming in, and he's like, "Oh,
you
about
dumb
time
fuck."
you, yeah,
We
about
left
time."
together. It's weird. You got to get this weird selfie that you tried to take.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess
your
that's
Insta.
probably what it was. It was just like they wanted this cool shot of
By the way, quick segue, because I just want to bring it up, and it came up on the screen. And just an honorable mention to one conversation with between Theon and Jon.
I love that
Makes
scene.
Theon. Oh yeah. By the way, love the conversation, but I just found it so like objectively funny that Theon struggled his whole life, and then all of a sudden he figures it out just from one like 5-minute conversation with Jon. It's like just like a little dose of honor. It's like, oh wait, I know everything I need to be doing now.
Jon is the Oprah Winfrey of inspirational talks
In
Westeros.
Yeah, pretty much is.
He can get anyone to become inspired. Okay, but this scene, while it's on here, let's just talk about it because I hated it.
You hated it.
I love this scene.
I
Loved it.
Fucking why the?
This is one of my
fuck-
favorite parts, actually, of
Why
the
the
episode, I think.
fuck do we need 5 minutes of Theon? Like we already had the fucking him
Love
talking
Theon.
to Jon.
Alfie
and,
Allen.
Yeah.
and I like the Jon and Theon scene because Jon's telling him a lot of things that Jon's gonna need to hear when he finds out his true heritage.
I see what you're saying.
Ironically,
This I don't need.
So I think what you're
Yeah.
saying is we already got what Theon was going to do in the first place. He had his redemption per se.
Yeah.
We didn't need a whole fight scene.
I disagree.
I didn't need
I
to
liked
find
it, though.
out that Theon has a superpower and it's that he has no dick.
Yeah,
Like,
but I
I
think that
disagree
was
with you.
more metaphorical. Like, all of
his weakness became his strength.
Yeah, weakness became his strength,
But-
and then he became reborn in the water. Like,
Yeah.
well, yeah, no.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. They hit all of the symbolism points
Yeah.
that they wanted to. I just felt like none of it was necessary.
but I honestly feel that,
it was his first win in a long time.
and that
Like,
made it really
yeah.
impactful. And to be truthful, I honestly feel that just seeing Theon be told, that's what I need to do, isn't enough with a character like him.
Yeah, that's
seeing him
true.
go out and actually do it
That's true.
is powerful. And also, it just honorable mention again. I think Alfie Allen is one of the most underrated / best actors in the show because he plays such a complicated, hard to like, but you feel bad for him character.
He definitely
a lot of layers to that
as
character.
a watcher, it definitely gives you it makes you feel a lot of different emotions.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
Reek felt like a
parts where
different character than Theon. Like,
Yeah, and there's parts like in the early seasons where you hate Theon when he starts
Yeah.
turning on Rob and shit. You're like, oh, this piece of shit, or how he talks to Jon.
Talk
sometimes.
about an arc,
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
now he went from good to bad to pathetic to trying to bad to good again. or whatever the proper arc would be.
Yeah,
but, like,
something like that.
Not bad, but like cowardly again. Like he's just struggled. He's done wrong and struggled in the most fascinating way. So anytime he's on screen, I'm always a fan of it. Personally.
I guess this scene would be a
he's
director's
underrated.
presentation.
Yeah,
of-
so this
of
is
his
like
entire
his
character arc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this is his full
Getting
redemption.
beat up, but like even when
He
he's
keeps
like,
getting
"Oh."
up.
Yeah, I guess he just keeps getting
Can't get it up, but he keeps getting it.
I guess, but I mean, what are they saving him for next season? What are
Maybe nothing.
maybe nothing.
Maybe nothing.
He's gonna save his sister.
Well,
I think he should at least save his sister.
that's what he's gonna try.
What if she? I've thought about
Yeah,
she might kill him out of like fuck you. You didn't save me.
That'd be so Game of Thrones to do.
That'd be perfect.
That'd be amazing.
No.
Now the Greyjoys, they would kill
now
the
his
family.
because now his character arc is done. He's not. You don't technically need him for anything else. I don't think she's gonna kill him per se.
well,
No,
here's
it would just
That'd be
awesome.
pretty crazy.
here's what's here.
Or
two-
you're on.
2 points. I think that something could come from this. One, I think Theon going to the Iron Islands and finding out that Euron's actually not there. It's gonna be like that
Fact.
heads up to Jon, like, oh,
Yeah.
by the way, Golden Company's coming,
Yep. You're gonna
and
get.
there's that. And then
Yeah.
you bring up an interesting point about the rescuing Yara and what Yara's reaction to that will be. I think she was so almost inconsiderate of the real fucking like horror that Theon
Right.
went through, and she always kind of like played it off and was like,
Well, she's
oh, you don't have
tough
a-
love.
yeah, she's
Yeah.
that's the iron. The
She
iron
She still
One.
believed in him though. At the same time.
Yeah.
But she's gonna be she's gonna be changed now because Euron's definitely like torturing the fuck out of her.
Yeah. Who knows?
Yeah.
And she's gonna have, I think, a different perspective, and I do think it's gonna be interesting on
You mean
how
she'll have
they
more sympathy for him?
sympathy, or maybe she just maybe it is hatred, and maybe she's like she every time she looks at him, she sees the horrible things that happen to her.
Yeah.
There's a bunch of different ways, but I do think that would actually be interesting. So maybe I don't hate Theon as much as I think.
Real quick, let's talk about Arya and Sansa when they finally had this like, man, our arc sucked this season moment, and they finally started talking some damn sense.
Yeah.
Some damn sense.
It's just like they started acting like real people again all of a sudden. Because like here's the BS part. A lot of their conversations didn't happen with anyone else around. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They happened.
They weren't
completely
playing
alone.
it up for anyone. Like.
Oh, this isn't even that scene. This is actually the scene when Littlefinger eats it, which
Yeah.
was hard for me to watch because I'm a huge Littlefinger fan.
Me
Yeah, I
too.
love
I'm
Littlefinger
such a
too.
big Littlefinger fan because he is like everything that is.
I thought he was gonna make it to the end. I thought
He might get the throne, like just as a crazy twist. like,
Exactly.
yeah.
I thought he was. I thought he was destined for a player until the end, and this is why it was crazy to me that they let a whole bunch of other people live, but they kill off Littlefinger, who has a lot of potential as an actual player for the throne.
He
The
didn't need
Hound's
to
never
die
gonna
in that
sit on
moment.
the Iron Throne. Never gonna do it. Doesn't even want to. Doesn't give a fuck about it. But we still have him and a bunch of other people like him. But we get rid of a potential piece that I thought could have been worth a lot more.
and you actually said this. I'm gonna quote you, and you can take it over. But like, I think you said when we watched it, you're like, it just bothered you that Littlefinger, one of the most interesting characters, sat in the corner of Winterfell the whole season. Just like sat in the corner sulking,
Just
like,
waiting to die.
Yeah, he
essentially,
usually
yeah.
sits in the corner, but he's usually planning some
Yeah.
shit.
Yeah, like for him, and I think again you said this to quote you, but like you said like, for him to like have tried to do something and failed is fine, but like he just didn't. He like didn't have
Well,
a
you,
real plot.
You suggested a better way to handle the Sansa Littlefinger thing.
Would have been
Right.
Yeah, I think that if Littlefinger had like, okay, we get that he's obviously trying to make this play against these two
but it's so weak. It's such a weak play for.
and it's almost so obvious
That it's not gonna
and
work.
they obviously catch on, but that we don't see any other plot that he's got going on. This can't be the only thing Littlefinger does Littlefinger, who
all
we're
he's
led to
got.
believe is one of the smartest players in the game,
became Lord of the Vale.
becomes Lord of the Vale, essentially, in practice, if not in title, but doesn't have anything other than playing these two fucking kids against each other in order to
Reasons.
because reasons. It's
I guess he wanted the North for himself.
Which is fine.
Maybe.
See, and this is why it's frustrating for me. It's 'cause, and in the books, there's a much bigger plot with Littlefinger. And they just don't have the time to do it because it involves characters that don't even show up here.
Right.
But I feel like the plot could have had they could have used the plot from the book to kind of steer where his arc was going.
Yeah.
And they just abandoned it and said,
Yeah.
And you know the BS part? And you know the BS part about this whole thing is like, clearly what put Littlefinger on the ground was Bran. Was what Bran knowing all this stuff about him because he did. So if they, and I might be quoting you here, I can't recall, but you know, essentially, if he had been trying to do all this stuff, some of which involved Winterfell, some of which didn't, and then for him to just be randomly smacked in the face by the fact Bran knows everything and then just murder him, like that would have been so impactful. So, but instead they spend the whole season making us believe Sansa and Arya are going to turn. Like they didn't like each other as kids, but come on.
Yeah, they should have flipped it. So we thought Littlefinger was planning some dope, crazy, murderous
and they even
shit, and then flipped it like, oh no, actually they already know.
And you know what? They might have filmed more, and they might have cut some stuff out because we did get like that scene of him, you know, in the barn, like passing some notes to like somebody, and but, like nothing ever, nothing.
That still wouldn't help.
Nothing ever came.
This to me seemed like exactly how they wrote it, and the reason I say that is because one of the featurettes afterwards, like they were bragging about it.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, "There's no way you're proud of this plot. There's no way." Like I believe that they are.
Well, if they were, they definitely misread the fan reaction to it because
they looked at it from the wrong angle.
Pretty much everyone was like, "This is garbage."
Yeah, I understood what they were saying. I understood why they thought that, but that was like not the way.
And again, I think it comes down to like they hit the points that they wanted to hit. Like it would be kind of cool if we played Arya and Sansa against each other, just like he played Catelyn and Lysa or whatever.
Yeah.
But they didn't actually draw that line up until this scene where Sansa goes, "You played my mom and her sister against one another, just like us." And I was like, "Oh, right, that could be a symbolic thing." But like they didn't
notice that. Yeah,
I didn't notice it. Didn't stand out to me. And then, like I said, man, I just thought Littlefinger was such a more valuable piece that could have been used. And you're right. I had a strong opinion that he might even end up on the throne, just because like that would be so Game of Thrones that while everyone else is debating on what is good and who is right and who has the right of rule, the one that plans the hardest and is the most I guess devious or
works the hardest in his own way.
Yeah, works the hardest and
work hard and you too can get your throat slit by a telepath.
Yeah, right.
Or a seer of things. Although I love that Bran actually did something.
I feel like they shouldn't have hinted at it either. Like when he was like, "Oh, chaos is a ladder," to him. Like I feel like this scene would have been crazy. It was like, "Oh shit, Bran knows." You like revealed him. Like, but we kind of saw it coming because like, okay, they gave us that scene for a reason.
And could I add the fact that once he found out that Bran knew that chaos is a ladder, says to me, Bran knows everything and knows some magic stuff. How come Littlefinger didn't start thinking, okay, Bran might be able to figure out everything I did?
I don't think Littlefinger's like reality is within magic per se.
But he knows about it.
He knows about what?
Some magic stuff. I mean, the fact that Bran
I think what you're trying to say is like once Bran does
tipped
that
him
little
off.
Yeah, Littlefinger should be smarter.
Why didn't Littlefinger
back off?
Well, not back off, but like be like, what the fuck is going on with this kid?
Well, he did, but it was never addressed again. Like he was like, I'm gonna go now.
Yeah, but like
but
maybe
nothing else after that.
But that was like a couple episodes. It was like episode 3 or 4. So it's like they had a little bit of time. They maybe should have They could have shown Littlefinger being like doing some. I don't know what they would have done, but Littlefinger doing something to be like, what the fuck is going on with that kid in the wheelchair? He seems to know more about me.
Yeah, how would he know about
than
me?
I like. Littlefinger doesn't like a lot of people knowing what he's up to, and the fact that Bran would do that would have been. And he does. He recognizes it. He goes, and it's like.
And let's not forget the fact that he saw that Arya had the dagger.
Yeah.
That he gave to.
Right. Just like, oh, right, I gave that to you, and
she has
the little assassin murderer has it. Okay.
Yeah, so what, you're not going to put together the pieces? You're Littlefinger. Come on.
Exactly.
Yeah. But it's a little gray because it's magic, whatever. Littlefinger doesn't really delve with magic much or at all, I don't think. So it's a little weird. Because like if someone said something that only you would know, right? Like what would your reaction be exactly? Would you be like, oh, well, magic's real now? Like is that the first thing you think of? Or is like, it's tough.
Well, I mean, I guess in this world,
right,
it's a little bit more accepted
because like more.
While
there's
magic,
like rumors and
magic has died down, it was definitely something written about in their histories and stuff.
Aiden.
I guess although Littlefinger is the type of character that would be like, magic existed long ago, and I don't actually need magic in order to win because I'm smarter than everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
all I know is Aiden Gillian. I think that's the actor's
name.
Is just I freaking love everything he's good in the show. It just, and even watching him die was I root for Littlefinger. I don't know what it is. I know he's evil and he's bad and like you're supposed to hate him, but like I can't help but root for him because he's so devious.
You just want to see what he thinks of next. Like,
so devious. You know what I mean?
And that's why it was a letdown. That's why it was a letdown.
But that said, it was cool. It was cool the way he died. Like set up better.
Yeah, but it was mostly the setup.
We talked to death about
it is interesting though now that Arya could use his face, so that will probably come into play at some point.
Just might. So
yeah, definitely.
Jaime and Cersei, these two. We kind of already talked about it, but
yeah. Well, and that's the thing is this whole scene.
I think this is like my least favorite scene in this whole season. I think.
Which one? Them talking about the North thing, or
no, the Jaime and
this whole
Cersei.
thing. It's actually one long scene because she moves locations. But
the line when she comes in and she's like, I always knew you were the stupidest Lannister. That to me says that she definitely was promised something that we don't hear to Tyrion.
Why?
Because if he's the dumbest, then that means Tyrion must have at least a little bit of inkling on to, like.
That's not what that means to me. I mean, it's always been stated that everyone always thought Jaime was the slowest. I legitimately think
Tyrion was very smart.
Yeah, going back to the Tyrion thing, I think legitimately that he just that she agreed complicitly in the moment because he convinced her because of the kid thing, which was her play. And this is her pointing out that Jaime didn't see that it's obviously she was playing them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's probably a little disappointed about.
Makes sense.
But look at Jaime's face. He's just like, you are crazy.
Yeah, that was the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, it's done between them. I think. I think the next time
they're breaking up.
Well, there's the whole Valonqar. The whole Valonqar prophecy. So the question is it going to be Jaime or is it going to be Tyrion?
Or is it going to be Arya wearing Littlefinger's
Arya,
face?
Or
wearing Tyrion's face, or
is it
Jaime's face?
If she actually is pregnant, which I'm not convinced she is it going to be the baby via Jaime impregnating her and killing her, the baby killing her in childbirth? That'd be so twisted.
Oh shit! And that would be like a really good parallel because she resents Tyrion for killing their mother.
I don't know if I should spoil you guys right now.
Spoil us?
There's a spoiler.
Book stuff?
No, it's a show note spoiler. It didn't make it into the season, but it's on the internet. I don't know if I want to spoil it for you guys.
It's a show note for this season, for next season.
We probably shouldn't for the listener because they might not want to hear it.
Yeah,
I don't know if I do either.
Yeah, you know what we'll do. I'll put a link somewhere.
To something.
If
you want to spoil your.
If you feel like being spoiled, it's out there.
I don't like
you can
things
find
being
out
spoiled.
about it.
I know about.
It's not crazy spoiler, but
it leads to something. I'll tell you.
It could lead to something. It's interesting if they left it out because they didn't want to do it, or they left it out because they're saving it for next season, or what.
Trying to throw us off the trail.
Yeah. That's why. But we'll leave that discussion for another time.
Mm-hmm. What else we got?
I want to talk about, and I'm gonna skip ahead here. I want to talk about the final big huge scene. Sam and Bran talking and doing their little Google search right here.
Google search.
And then
who is Jon Snow's parents?
Yeah, and then at the same time, juxtaposing the monologue.
I knew Song of Ice and Fire always referred to Jon. I knew it ever since the early days of Art Poselli.
Yes, you came up with that, Austin. That was
I didn't
all
come
you.
Right, you're the first one.
Yeah, I know.
No one else ever thought
it was all me, right?
For the series that was started or got started in the year you were born.
Yeah. Don't recall that. That's alleged. But I just it feels good to hear them say it. Like it is very fan servicey, but it's very like boom.
Well, that was the thing is that this big climax that they obviously have been building to for 7 seasons. This is the main story,
as far as we know.
That's
what they want us to think.
Yeah.
I think it is.
They needed to do this, and they needed to make it clear in no uncertain terms to the audience, to the general audience, not people like me and you who do podcasts
Already
about
know.
this shit.
Yeah.
But people who just watch it on Sundays whenever it's on, and they're like, they needed it.
I've had to explain to several because it's already been clear that this is the case, but I've explained to several people the Jon Snow heritage thing for people who watch the show every week that are just like, oh, I didn't really realize that. That's a good point. So yeah, you're totally right. Not that there's anything wrong with those people. They're we're nerds and they're not. It's.
They needed it kind of. It needed to be stated clearly.
Yeah.
His name. His last name is Targaryen. He is the ruler, or he's supposed to be the ruler of the.
I don't even care if it was fan service. It just felt so good.
Yeah, and I do think
good.
the way
it didn't
the way
come
they
off
did
fan
it was
service-y.
like really cool.
And it was while
And it
he was
needed to be
fucking
done.
his aunt. Can we talk about the
And
barbarism?
That's the
Perfect.
beautiful part about this whole ending sequence here, where they do this
Penultimate sequence, if you will.
penultimate sequence, yes, because the ultimate sequence is quite a spectacle, and we'll get to that in a
Yeah.
second. But this one, when they do the monologue of his heritage and why John is the most important figure to the realm, over him doing and of him fucking his aunt.
Auntie.
There's a song
and
about that.
unknowingly to him, in his eyes, he's like, oh, this beautiful
Woman
queen, this
Who
beautiful
came from
queen,
across
this
the ocean.
dragon riding strong, independent. I don't need to. She's helping me.
She's hot.
She's got those fucking
He should have
pants
known
on.
it was too good to be true.
Yeah, and
Everyone he gets involved with is
Dude
tragic.
Cannot catch a break.
No, he cannot.
Jesse Pinkman had better luck than
And-
this guy.
Yeah, you're right. And can we talk about how great the casting is for Rhaegar and how he looks so much like Viserys?
Viserys.
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 Syphilis
Yeah, he
Viserys.
really does.
Syphilis Viserys.
I double checked. I was like, is that?
Me too.
Yeah,
I was
same,
like, they
same.
didn't use the same actor, did they? But no, that guy, I guess, just looks
So much like him.
like a twin.
Yeah. Oh, it's also the angle of the camera and the lighting.
I think he could have been better looking though.
What about it?
Should have been more attractive.
Well, yeah,
Oh.
the description of
Look at
Rhaegar
this.
is like the most beautiful person who ever existed.
Apparently, he liked to sing.
Excuse me.
yeah, played the harp.
Played the
Play
harp.
the harp. He looks like a harp player.
Didn't like fighting very much.
Harp playing ass motherfucker.
Didn't do a lot of brooding though.
And now John's about to play her harp.
I think that was Lyanna's job. I think that's more of a
And
Stark
see,
thing
this
to
is
do.
just perfect.
He's so boyish. I love him. Even it's like either he's fighting and just like killing stuff, or he's just like trying to get girls like just by looking at them confused.
The look on her face here.
Those are some eyes, boy.
Jon
Let me
Snow.
tell you.
It's awesome
And
because
Tyrion's like, "Can I join?"
Have a 2.5 some.
I definitely want to talk about
Oh
this.
no,
fucking
that's not
might-
right.
might edit
That
that
is not right.
friggin'. But yeah, no. So I thought it was awesome because Daenerys. This is like the first time she's able to
Be with someone that's kind of her equal.
and in a loving way and be able to say like as much as she's like, oh, my first husband Khal Drogo will never be as good as him, but like he raped her a bunch of times first,
It's confusing.
and that was almost one of those what's it called when you're captured by somebody and you start to-
Stockholm
syndrome.
Stockholm
Although
syndrome?
she ended up kind of owning that situation, so
She did. She
did.
came around. She's a strong, independent woman.
that's one
But,
of those. You bet she is. That's one of those, and a rape survivor. That's one of those weird gray area things that you have to kind of just shrug at. Like unlike the Sansa rape thing, which is terrible.
Yeah, exactly.
But like it's
Yeah.
one of these like she also was in love with him.
Well, she needed to be in a tough position.
Yeah, she's trying
and
to play the
find-
power play. Like,
Yeah, it couldn't be a clear, like, oh.
But she loved Khal Drogo.
She
Yeah,
did.
she did.
She found his soft side.
And that's why this is so awesome for the story. I think is because this is she fucked Dario and she wanted some dick, but this is someone that she's fallen.
She
in love
literally
with.
left him on. She's like, "Yeah, you're not coming."
Yeah,
with
I
us."
can't
Yeah.
marry you. Like, what are the lords and ladies gonna say? Like, come on, you're a sellsword.
And can we talk about like who was grossed out about the whole Dany and Jon thing? Because like to me, like I don't know. I think they're so compatible, and obviously
I wasn't grossed out at all.
It's a little column A, column B for me.
Yeah.
It's like I'm down with it, but also let's just not ignore that.
Well, I'm not recommending it to anyone. So if you're
Hey,
listening,
guys.
don't go out looking
Don't
to
do
fuck your aunt.
This is also Game of Thrones, so context.
Yeah, context doesn't matter.
You know,
But-
like
but-
it's weird. Like some of those seasons before Cersei went off the deep end, I low key kind of rooted for Cersei and Jaime. Like, yes, it's gross, but like,
I never liked them as a.
but they
couple.
did love each other. You know, like you have to.
I was
kind
more
of,
for Jamie and Brienne.
Yeah, oh, way more. But like, I don't know. The thing is that it's I think makes it even easier to get on board with Jon and Dany is the fact that, like they didn't know they were family. No, if no one told them, they
Right.
would never know. So in a way, it's like they
So,
family. Like,
Okay, so what
related.
happens? What if you found out your girlfriend was a relative, like a pretty close relative, not a distant
like a
relative,
second cousin.
like a cousin or an aunt or like some
That's
shit like
hard. Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you already love the
break
person.
up immediately, and then you find out who knows, and then you kill them.
But if it's somebody you love, I mean, there's gonna be a part of you that's gonna be like, this is hard. But yeah, you'd probably have to break up because it's not.
That. Yeah, you probably
It's
have
not
to.
Game of Thrones.
I
It's
don't-
not Game of Thrones. This is not okay.
It's tough.
But I didn't have much of a problem with it, other than the usual thing, like, oh, this is gonna. To me, it was more like
So many people were grossed
The
out.
fact that they don't know, a lot of people were grossed out.
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong.
No.
It's gross.
It's objectively
It is
gross.
objectively gross.
I wonder because this was.
but I just love them both.
This was something that you can kind of see coming from a long way off.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
for
The moment they meet,
right
you're like, yep.
for
It's
I
not.
think and for for book readers and people who've been watching the show since its beginning, even more so. But I'm wondering about the audience that has only
General
joined in the
audience.
last like 2, maybe 3 seasons, where they haven't put too much thought into it.
What kind of sociopath?
Yeah,
doesn't
watches
watch
Game
the
of
first
Thrones
season,
season
or
4.
two?
Like, oh, this seems like a good show.
Yeah.
Who are all these people? Never mind.
This isn't fucking Seinfeld. We can't just jump in at season 4.
I think what you mean is the more casual people who watch the whole thing but don't like
Look into it
really
deep.
know half the details.
Yeah, like how they.
This is a lot of world building in
Oh
this
yeah.
universe. Like, it's a lot of details.
I don't know. I don't know how they feel about it. I feel like people were either this
They're
is
probably like, oh shit.
this is weird, this is gross, this is surprising. Or I feel like probably there were people who were surprised that
Just
they were
like puberty.
related, but we've known this.
Yeah.
Since season
Ever
5
since-
or 4.
It's been the worst
Since
kept
the-
secret since
Oh,
Jon
yeah.
Snow was alive.
Yeah.
No, yeah, right. But we really found out when we finally got the Tower of Joy scene, and she said, "This is a boy," and then it cut straight to John.
Yeah,
this
we
is my
knew,
boy.
like-
Yeah.
That's Rhaegar's son.
And I guess that to me was like as a avid watcher and a book reader, it was like, oh, that's
Obvious.
that's the
Like-
confirmation
Yeah,
I
yeah,
need.
yeah,
I
yeah.
don't need much more than this.
Exactly.
But so many people didn't even know what that meant,
Yeah, and
Yeah,
then they
which arguably might be a point against them. But to me, I was okay with it.
yeah, I guess you could
Yeah.
kind of look at it as like
It's a little bit.
They punted from one season finale to this season finale to like really confirm the whole damn thing. But it didn't feel terrible. I thought it was well done. I thought the splicing of these 2 scenes together was
Yeah.
it hit you where it needed to hit you, and it made you question some things that you needed to question.
You got a confused arousal.
Yeah. It was like I have such a confusing
Am I
boner
into
right
this
now.
fetish now? Is that what's happening?
Oh God, is there an aunt nephew section on porn?
Let's not even talk about it. Let's talk about the White Walkers
Let's get to it.
breaking that wall, breaking the fourth wall,
Breaking the fourth wall.
if you will.
Well,
Wall.
actually, you know what? Before we get to that, can we
What?
talk about that Tyrion skulking in the corner
Tyrion's go.
when that?
I just think it was as simple as
He's concerned.
he's concerned. This
he's
is
concerned.
weird.
Like,
Politically?
oh, this could, politically, yeah. Like, oh, this could get messy, or like, this is
or
a weird.
I mean, I don't
dynamic.
think he wants Danny. I don't think.
Do we
he
not
thinks
think?
he was shot.
Do we
Yeah, I
not
don't
think
think so.
he has fallen for her even a little
I
bit?
think everybody that meets Danny falls for her, but
Right.
to some degree, she got them eyes.
But
She's got them
she
eyes.
got
She
them
got
eyes.
them eyes.
She got more than them eyes. But and she's very smart and cool and interesting and kind
And
of
has
scary.
dragons.
And
has dragons.
Mad drags. But no, I just think he's kind of like, I don't think he's like pining for her because he knows it's not ever
Not gonna
ever.
happen.
Unlike Jorah, who like thinks it might. Can we talk about Jorah? Like
Poor Jorah.
friend zone supreme.
Friend zone supreme.
Friend zone supreme.
Not only friend zone supreme, but like he's like, oh, I'm gonna die. Like this will never happen for me. And she's like, no. Even though she knows it's not gonna happen, she's like, you demand you cure yourself and come back to me. And then he goes and does that, and then
Like,
comes
hey,
back,
get
and he's
back.
just he's like, I can go back in the corner, right?
High
like
five.
you're not gonna, yeah, high five, right?
Good job.
I'm cured now,
Friends.
and you're in Westeros, and it would kind of be a good match because I
Things are
could,
hot.
I could be, asset to the north or something like that. But you know what? I'll just I'll just go get a White Walker.
Yeah, I'm gonna
is
go
what
on a
I'll
boat
do.
with this guy actually.
Yeah.
Alone.
Oh right, yeah. Their whole
Pretty much.
that scene where they're discussing how they're gonna get to Winterfell, and Jorah's like, I don't think you should go with him. and John's like, no, I think you should come on the sex boat with me. I really feel strongly about
there's
this.
just a
And
vibe
Jorah's
again.
like, damn it, never works.
Friend zone again.
Yeah.
I'll go with you.
Even I think Jorah likes Jon so much that even he's okay with it.
Yeah. Well, he gave him
Yeah.
a sword.
Yeah.
Protect your children.
You know what that means.
And AKA protect Daenerys' children.
I'll
is
give you the
what
sword.
he
means.
means.
Giving him the sword means it's okay if you have
Bang,
sex with
bang, the
Daenerys
love
now.
of my life.
Yeah, I'm okay with it. I'm into it.
It's all good.
It's all good.
I'm sure he's just happy to be alive at this point. Like,
Yeah, honestly, especially
Oh yeah, he's living on extra time.
Yeah.
Getting friend zone
He's one of-
would be the last.
other
thing.
than Davos, he's one of the oldest characters too.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's him
Is
and
he
Davos. Yeah, he's in his 50s.
he's got to be.
Yeah, I guess he is.
He was banned like 20
Varys?
years ago.
Yeah, Varys is a little younger than him, I think. and-
He was banned. He was exiled from Westeros, I think, before Robert's Rebellion. So it has to be more than
It was
20
before
years.
Danny was born.
Yeah, he's been.
Yeah, it was.
He was actually a member of the Golden Company. Sir
that?
Jorah did. He did a
about
couple years, a couple tours with the Golden Company, as a sellsword before he
was stationed in Friend Zone.
let's
Let's talk about the wall.
talk about it. So here we are. We get Barrick and
Can
Tormund.
we just talk about the fact that Torrent, we torrented Tormund. Tormund
didn't
so
die?
should have died here.
Should have died twice.
And also Barrick.
That's another
Barrick's
one that
right
really
there,
pissed me
ready
off.
to die. He's
Who cares
always
about
willing.
Barrick?
Barrick's always ready to die. He's just always ready to do it.
He's over
and,
it.
and they don't even kill him.
Yeah, they don't kill the
But
one guy who's about
I'll
it.
give Barrick a little bit of leeway because he has a purpose of the Lord of Light or whatever, and I guess he just didn't serve it for whatever reason.
Not yet.
So it's whatever.
We're still waiting on that damn Lord of Light fucking thing.
I'll let that slide a little, but yeah, Tormund should have died. He should have died the last episode when he was getting pulled by the White Walkers.
Right,
There's no
and this-
reason to save him. Like,
This goes back to that.
It's not that I don't like
you're putting
Tormund, but,
people-
like-
yeah, you're putting people in these situations that require them to be saved by a Deus Ex Machina device, and it's
Yeah.
like, you're fucking with me here, Game of Thrones.
there's
you're
too
fucking
much
with me.
plot armor to go
'Cause
around right
And
now.
the
way too much.
The dragon destroyed that whole part of the wall. Like all those people should have just been dead.
Eliminated.
Yeah.
Dead. And that would have almost made it more impactful, by the way. And you
Yeah,
could
and it
some
was still dope.
Some people, some listeners will make the argument that we didn't see them, so maybe they did die, but they would have gotten them.
Yeah, that would have gone on screen death.
Come
for
on.
sure.
Well, that's even
At
worse.
least Tormund.
That's even worse if you kill somebody off screen
Yeah.
in that manner, like, and then don't show us.
Just set up the shot.
And
Set up the tripod. It's
I guess they
Yes,
kept him alive so
not
that
bad.
way
I'm
they
dead
can.
now.
I guess they needed to keep him alive so they could have like somebody go tell that the wall came down.
Fuck
No,
that.
but Bran already knows.
But I would rather
Bran
I
does
would
already
rather
know.
I would rather that they didn't have somebody. Like you're right. I think they definitely should have died, and like nobody knows that they just came through the wall except for Bran.
Yeah,
Bran
Bran's
saw it.
ravens. Bran's ravens were the impetus of them flying.
Yeah,
and
so
seeing.
there was no reason to keep anyone there alive
Right.
whatsoever.
They should be dead. But that said, how about
Cool,
that dragon?
cool scene though.
Cool, great scene.
Blue eyes,
Cool
white
scene.
dragon.
I was just let's talk about it. Let's talk about Kaiba's blue eyes right here. Ken, Night Kaiba here.
Oh my god, can we talk about how there's 3 dragons and if he gets 3 he can get the ultimate blue eyes?
Wow, Yu-Gi-Oh callback.
Yeah, that's a strong.
That's
reference.
all this show was setting up. Was the Yu-Gi-Oh reference.
It's actually the prequel to Yu-Gi-Oh.
This is
Yeah.
all one big advertisement for Yu-Gi-Oh. Just rolling up on the drags.
So this dragon here
Viserion, right?
Viserion, under the manipulation of the Night King,
He was
seems stronger, faster, and something that a lot of people have pointed out, I've been reading on Reddit, is that the amount of fire that, whatever it is, magic or fire or some sort of weird
ice
element, unconfirmed force that comes out of this guy's mouth.
Looks like fire.
He's able to hold a stream longer and more powerful than Drogon or
yeah.
that we've seen
do
so
we know
far.
that?
Yeah, they when they breathe fire, they like, and then stop to take a breath, and then
I didn't
Yeah,
know
he
that.
doesn't have to breathe.
well, they don't
That's
show
why.
like a very a breath.
I
but
know.
like,
I understand what you're saying. He
yeah.
doesn't have to breathe. You know, and I also wonder.
but there's this one where when they actually come to close this scene after they get all like, oh my god, all the people are dying and falling.
He's doing it for like solid.
he's just up there and they're all
Yeah,
watching.
you see the glow of it. Yeah.
Yeah, and
You know,
just keep
The
going.
interesting thing though is that his fire is blue, which would make me think that it's hotter.
Hotter, right? Because that's what we've all been taught.
Yeah, but it might be magic, so I don't know. But
Well, that's the thing is that
blue because that's their like team colors.
because
Team colors.
Team color is blue.
the rumor or the
Speculation.
the lore in realm in the story that like old Nan tells Bran and stuff like that, like ice dragons are like this myth from long ago, but they actually breathed they breathed almost like blizzard. Like they breathed something so cold that it would freeze a man instantly.
It's an ice beam.
An ice beam, yeah. It's an ice beam from Blastoise or some shit. But they seem to be going for like a fire route here.
Which is interesting.
Well, I think the ice dragons were something else potentially.
But we don't know.
Well, yeah,
we don't
yeah.
know that
this
it
is
was
this is a
fire.
resurrected
Yeah,
dragon,
yeah.
whereas an ice dragon
Yeah,
could
maybe.
have been a completely different
Yeah.
beast. But
That's a nice little pin to put in it. What I do know is that Winterfell is screwed.
they're fucked, and they're all there.
And that's
they're
the best
all
part.
there.
Yeah.
You know the interesting thing that I think about though, which is kind of an interesting turn because it kind of. I know you wanted to talk about this direwolf thing, but we'll get to that in a second. The thing that's an interesting turn is that we went from the northern camp kind of having it all locked down and Cersei being like, what am I going to do? But now they don't know that Cersei is turning against them.
Mm-hmm.
They don't know that or they're about to know hopefully with Jaime, and then the north is
Yeah.
about to come crushing down on them. So now they're stuck in the middle between two opposing forces.
That's
so we went
pretty
from the
crazy.
strongest team to now they're the weakest position
Yeah,
Yeah.
strategically.
and they don't even know.
Well, they're about to. Well, Jamie's going to go tell.
Bran will know. Bran will
Yeah,
tell everyone that
I guess,
the Walker.
I guess that would be something that we should be looking for in like episode 1
Yeah.
of next season. Is the Euron's not at the Iron Islands. Oh,
Yeah.
Cersei is not on your side. Oh, the wall has come down.
Yeah.
If not
and then
episode
they just
2, but I doubt it. It'll
yeah,
take that long.
it has to be the first couple, and then I guess the rest of it would just be them.
So you wanted to talk about that whole direwolf thing. I remember.
I'm hoping I rewound it to the part.
Yeah.
I don't see it, but there's huge fucking swaths of this right here of the internet saying that this
Looks like a direwolf.
looks like a direwolf. Like,
I mean,
and when you look at the sigil
What
of the
would that
Starks,
mean?
well, the theory goes that it
Bran is
harkens
the-
back to
Bran's
the
the Night
the
That
Night,
Bran is the Night King.
Night
Okay,
King
yeah,
Bran theory.
So I'm going to go on record and say that I think that that's not the case, and that if it is the case, it's kind of dumb. Because,
How so?
It doesn't do anything.
yeah, I
Per
mean,
se.
I know how the theory works. The theory works is that, here's why I think it's dumb. Let me be specific. The theory is predicated on the idea that Bran is dumb enough to go back in time and try to stop the White Walkers from happening.
Mhm.
And I don't
You should
think
know
he's-
that you can't change anything.
Well, he should know that, A, after what happened with Hodor. And B, after what happened with Hodor, why would he do something like that? Go ahead.
But he did change something.
No, he didn't.
But he did.
No, he didn't. Hodor, that was always going to happen.
Yeah, that was
Okay,
dumb.
well, all right,
This is-
well,
this
we can
is
talk.
this-
Well, I mean, okay.
This is
so-
circular timeline universe. Where even when you go back in time,
you can't change anything. You either
will
make
create,
things happen or it just doesn't
simply
happen.
by going back in time, you create your own present.
right,
That's clearly the rules of time travel in Game of Thrones.
right, and that would be the Night King Bran
Mm-hmm.
postulate as well.
Although perhaps,
Is that he was like, oh, you know what? I created the Hodor that needed to happen in order so I could be saved to get south of the wall and warn everybody and tell Jon he's fucking Aegon Targaryen. And maybe it could be justified that he's like, well, if I did it with Hodor,
Right.
maybe I could, even though it's a fucked up thing, maybe I could do it with this. And he's already seen the scene. You know, the old Three-Eyed Raven showed him the scene where the White Walker gets made. It wouldn't, and Bran has been repeatedly told by every single person that he comes across that he is the most powerful warg and the most powerful Greenseer of all time. And
But I think he knows by now that he can't go back and change the past.
Does he? He
It
doesn't
won't-
even
No,
know.
but he might be.
He
No,
didn't
he
even-
might be thinking like, oh well, I should go back because this is how it could affect
He didn't.
present.
He didn't even know that his aunt and Rhaegar
Yeah,
got
so
married.
clearly he doesn't know
He needed to be
every
Google
single
searched for
thing.
that.
Yeah, but I guess the argument that I'm making is that he had a literal experience that taught him that him going back is what made Hodor like that.
But
he
Hodor
but he
needed
might-
to be like that in order for him to
I'm
live.
not arguing that it shouldn't have happened. What I'm saying is I don't think Bran is dumb enough to make the mistake
But-
to accidentally become the Night King. Also, let's talk about this. He's not the Night King. Like, he doesn't look like him. He's not that age, anything like that. Is he going to go back to the past and then warg into someone's mind in the past? Is that even a thing you can do? I don't know.
Well, that's why it's so gray
Yeah.
in exactly what happened to Hodor is because he was warging both. He was warging the Hodor of the present.
Yeah, but it was kind of
Like,
affecting.
you know how
it.
like 'cause Hodor had to like drag that
Yeah.
fucking sled. So he was warging Hodor in the present, and then he was also green seeing to
right.
the past
Yeah.
and seeing that, and that connection was what did it. And they get real gray on exactly how that
Yeah.
works because
fried his brain.
because if they explained us the rules of how Bran's mind works and how the magic works, we wouldn't have any more questions. But I think I don't personally believe. I think it would be silly or dumb that
Yeah.
if Bran turns out to be the Night King. But
Right.
there's a
I think
there's a
he's
lot of
connected
this
to the-
there's a lot of this circumstantial evidence.
I
that
think he's
exists.
connected to the Starks. I think he has to be because I think the whole
Yeah.
First Men, the White Walkers. I think there is a connection. But
What does that do for the story? Is my
and-
thing.
And that's what I'm saying is that I think the people who see the direwolf here and are I want Bran to be the Night King. Like their thing is like the story is that cautionary tale against time travel of Bran going
just
back.
roll
to the
my
past.
eyes 50 times.
But
Don't
I mean,
time travel, kids.
I mean,
Oh man,
it's not like.
little Jimmy wanted to time travel.
I mean, what other story are they telling with Bran? Bran is obviously a very central.
Well, I think
character.
he's kind of the catalyst of telling Jon.
That's
that
it.
he's
So he's done
Targaryen.
next season. He doesn't
I don't
have
think
much.
he's done. I
Not
think,
necessarily done, but I think that was the main thing for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we know this. We know the story is about mostly Jon. We
Right.
know that,
As far as I know.
so I think that is a catalyst. I agree, but I do think it's more complicated than that, and it's not as cut and dry.
Yeah, if they could find a way to make Bran being the Night King cool, I'm down. But I don't think.
I don't think they'd be able to do that.
I don't think it does anything to the story other than that's Bran.
Yeah,
that's
and
another
it,
not believable thing. Where like
Yeah.
I still personally feel like Bran is pretty freaking smart, and he's pretty. I think that one time with Hodor, knowing how it changed something,
yeah.
how it didn't change anything, and how time travel works. Although I did find it very interesting when he yelled for Ned, he heard him, which is weird. That aside, though,
that's got to be something.
I don't think that he would. I don't know.
I've always been of the opinion
But
that
maybe I'm wrong.
Bran is a smart character. However, he is prone to these instances where he doesn't use his best judgment.
But less and less.
And
so,
he's also kind of disconnected.
Yeah, he's
So
like
what if it gets to a point where he feels like he
doesn't
has to be the Night King? Like,
It's like, well,
or
that's
something
what I'm
crazy.
doing now. You know what I mean?
Or what if he goes for information and accidentally works like too
Yeah.
hard? Like he could go
Yeah.
for information for the present.
So
So he's not trying to change anything in the past, but he's trying to understand certain things. So he works into who becomes the Night King.
It just feels very
in the
writery. That just feels.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that was.
Yeah.
That doesn't feel fresh to me. I don't know.
It's not. It's a trope
Yeah.
that's been used. Fucking.
Well,
Definitely.
yeah,
Over and
I
over.
don't think it should be used, but I'm just saying if it were to be used, that could be how.
I guess. Yeah.
So do we have anything else?
We do.
There you go. Let's do it.
Actually, you know what? We've covered the episode. We talked about is Bran the Night King. Real quickly, do you think Dario makes a return with the Golden Company?
No,
No.
Is there gonna be time?
I don't think anyone cares about Dario. Like from a writing standpoint, so they just won't bring him back.
I think. Okay. Well, here's the counter argument: is that he comes back with the Golden Company, that's allied with Cersei, but if he's I think him being very much in love with Daenerys and having already slept with her and been personal with her adds a wrench into the Jon and Dany love thing. And then I think it could couple well with the fact when Dany finds out that when Jon has a better right to the throne,
Maybe.
Right.
that it would be a quick,
They
easy.
partner up again.
Well, at least it would create a dynamic in which
I think it's plausible. I
they
just
could
don't
start
think it's,
doubting each other.
Yeah.
I think it's totally plausible.
Because like Daenerys was never really feeling him like that. Not like
She was
not
a-
as much as she was
he was
Jon.
a side piece.
She was entertained by him.
Yeah.
She found him
He was a side
entertaining.
piece.
And, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
But I just don't think. I think that's possible. I just don't think that's where they're going to go. I just think they have
No.
more stuff to cover than that.
Well, I just don't see them bringing in the Golden Company without it having a representative, and for us to get a new character,
Maybe.
and for them to be an important part of the fight, I guess would seem even
Or-
more silly
or
than
who's
having
the-
Dario just come back and be like, "Yeah."
Or
said
we
fuck
never
Essos,"
see, or we
and-
never see
yeah.
a general from the Golden Company, and we just see them fighting, which is also
True.
possible.
They do have elephants; they would be rather noticeable on the battlefield.
Indeed, and that could be their statement. You know,
That's their statement.
I guess.
Elephants.
I guess we'll have to wait to find out.
indeed we will.
You know what? Let's we're hitting a good moment here, so let's wrap it up with our predictions. Our predictions for next season. I have two main questions, then we can kind of go off from there as we will. But who do you want to die next season, and who do you think actually will?
Michael.
So let's start with who do you want? Who do you
I
want to die? Is there anybody that you're just like, oh fuck this person? Because for me, that's fucking.
Define
Theon.
want to die, because when I want people to die, it doesn't necessarily mean I'm annoyed by the character. It usually means I feel like this would be cooler for the story. I want them to die.
Keep in mind, next
Like-
season's the last season, so
Right.
that's kind of colors the question a bit.
Yeah. Dude, fucking kill Torment, like
All these-
just for not killing
doesn't-
him those 2 times.
He doesn't have to
kill
get
him.
Brienne. Like, he doesn't have to succeed.
Yeah, we don't need that. That's
I
happened.
mean, I
plenty
want him
times.
to, but I also don't care. If that
Um,
makes any sense.
I want
I love
Cersei
him,
to
though.
die so bad though.
Yeah.
Well, this is Michael's answer though.
Yeah, I want. It's tough. I don't know who I want to die. Like it's kind of a tough question. I think I
That's
kind of
what we
want
do
Daenerys to die just because it would be impactful.
Yeah.
I kind of want Tyrion to die because it would be impactful, and he's just gotten away so long. Even though he's one of my favorite characters, like
You just want so much meaning.
I do.
You want
Yeah.
so much meaning.
I do.
Meaning.
You're talking about killing all the fucking best people.
Yep. What's the last? It's the last season.
I just want results.
I want results.
So
Guys,
I want a clear,
Yeah.
concise, fully fleshed out story.
who do you think will die, Michael?
I think Daenerys will die. Actually,
Ooh.
I don't know if Tyrion necessarily will die. I feel like Jon's not gonna die, but I feel like he's not gonna be on the throne.
What about Cersei?
I think Cersei. I would have said I think she's gonna die this season.
Yeah. I had it.
But like,
I had it pegged that she was.
yeah,
dying
but
this season.
She was in my
But
pool.
now I'm like, I don't know. I think it'd be interesting if she didn't.
If enough more other people die and a situation gets crazy enough, like maybe where the humans lose, but somehow Cersei.
Go to Essos.
Well, yeah. Well, it would be interesting to see if Cersei, who is, we're the only important ones left. We're the only ones that matter. But she actually becomes one of the only people left of just and she's ruling over nothing.
That's not what I think is gonna happen.
Yeah,
though.
that'd be crazy. She's just so insane. She's just ruling an empty city. Like,
My
that'd be interesting.
My thought was that Cersei might try to make a deal with the White Walkers and turn on humanity, but that's another thing. Who do I want to die? I want.
Is that possible?
People have made
how
pacts
does
with the
how do
White
you-
Walkers before.
That's true.
Crassus did.
That's true.
Craster
Good
and
point.
Crassus. I think. I agree with a lot what Michael said. I think Cersei should die. I think a lot of the good characters should die. I think maybe Davos. I think Theon.
Yeah.
I think we have way too many good
Theon
people
can
in one
definitely die.
place.
Yeah.
Maybe not the Hound, but I
I do want
want
the Hound to beat the Mountain, or maybe they kill
Yes.
each other.
Yes, I'm cool with that. I think a lot of the same people you said. I think Cersei has to die. I'm okay with Jaime. I'd
should
be
die.
interested with. I think Dany. I feel like I want her to die. I think it'd be way more impactful if she didn't succeed. Just because it's so hard. It's so hard. Like, it'd be really impactful. Who do I think will die? I'm going to assume that they're going to come back and really come back in Game of Thrones fashion. I think almost everybody is going to die
Yeah,
that's-
I think Sansa's gonna live.
I think anything short of
because they're afraid to do anything
yeah,
to
well,
her.
that and I feel like she deserves that W at this point.
She does.
I
She
feel like
does.
Arya's gonna live.
No, I don't think Arya will.
I think
Arya will
Bran.
die.
I think Bran's gonna die.
I think Arya will
I
die.
think the two sisters will live and Bran will die.
No, I think Bran will live, and I think Arya will definitely die.
Definitely die.
I think
Arya?
she's gonna die. Yeah, because
that's a strong stance.
that's how I think it's gonna happen. I think assuming that everything is written well, which we're gonna go ahead and assume. I think pretty much everyone. It's gonna be very few people left because we have a huge war coming.
Huge.
huge wars.
Huge,
Yeah.
gents.
What about
It's
you,
gonna be
BC?
The Great War is here.
What do you think?
So there's definitely a few people that I want to die, and there's a couple people I could give a fuck
Grey
about.
Worm's dying too. But
Yep.
A Grey Worm, that whole, I could give a fuck
side
about
plot.
that.
Yeah, it's really kind of a pointless side plot, isn't it?
Yeah, well, you need
As far as
something.
we know.
You need something to keep the
The balance.
yeah. People want a romantic story,
Yeah.
and if you can fit a small one in, then,
I love them. I think.
No,
they're
I like them, but it's not like doing anything.
What do you think?
So,
Who do you
yeah.
think's gonna die?
I think I want Cersei to die so bad, and I want Jaime to be the one to kill her.
Same.
I
So
want
bad.
Jaime to be the one to kill her.
Has to, or his baby.
Or maybe just some combination of Tyrion and Jaime. But I don't think Tyrion needs to have a hand in Cersei's death. For I don't think it's that important
Yeah, I
for
don't
Tyrion
think so,
anymore.
yeah.
But
Jaime
I think
would be more.
I think the watching Jaime killing Cersei
Be insane.
would be, and we would get a chance to see two really awesome actors pull off a scene that doesn't almost ever get written. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that one, I definitely
That's
want her
one.
to die because I think
Who else?
even as much as I hate her, she needs to. Let's see here. I think Theon needs to die, but that's just me because I'm tired. I'm tired of
Tired of
the
Theon.
Ironborn.
Well, he can die now. I feel like.
yeah. Well, once
He's done.
once he finds out
Yeah, once he-
that Euron's not there and he saves his sister, I guess.
Yeah.
He
But-
got his redemption.
The Ironborn plot in the books is just so much more full
Yeah.
that seeing Theon just get basically put on pause until like now is just like
Yeah.
get him out of here. Who else do I want to die? I guess you know what, I'm pretty fan servicey when it comes to like my heroes, and like I want Tyrion to live, I want Jon to live. I think Dany.
I do in
I think
spirit.
Dany is going to die, but I don't want her to.
Yeah.
I actually like Daenerys as a character,
Oh,
even
I
though
love
she can
her.
get a little.
That's why she needs a fitting end.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
why. That's my.
But I
point.
do think she is gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Jon should live, but I'm Team Jon forever, always.
Well, maybe Jon will like serve his maybe Jon's purpose is to die.
To Lightbringer her.
Like maybe his purpose light. Oh, he'd Lightbringer her all day, baby.
Yeah.
No, I think like his purpose might be to sacrifice himself in some greater
To
thing.
be very Jon.
yeah, to be very Jon.
Who do you think will die?
think Daenerys will die. I have a very strong suspicion Tyrion is gonna die.
Yeah. So do I.
Not gonna be able to talk his way out of
Yeah, I think there's gonna be something where he.
a White Walker.
Yeah. Not very.
Because that's been his only asset, really. His best strength is talking
Yeah.
and using his charm and his wit and words to get out of things. But White Walkers don't fuck with that, really.
Who else?
There's no one really I think I want to die.
Everyone's gonna die, PC.
Yeah, I kind of
No.
agree with Austin. I feel like most people are gonna.
No, I think they will. I just don't want that. I want
Well,
a
it's Game of Thrones.
I want to. I know. I'm such a fucking. I'm the person that George R. R. Martin hates writing for because I'm like the Tolkien fan who's just like I never
the
want
tropes.
happily ever after
Yeah.
at the end.
It ain't gonna happen.
Yeah.
Anyway.
But I'm fine with that because it's
Well,
satisfying in its own way.
I think he said the ending was gonna be bittersweet.
Yes.
So it probably won't be absolute destruction
And I-
and terrible things happening
it
all
is.
the time.
I hope it is.
I don't think it will be, but it'll be like it will be kind of both sides. A song of ice and fire, if you will.
Okay, I think that's a good place to end it.
Well, actually, you know what? Last one, and we'll just do it real quick.
Mhm.
Who's gonna sit on the Iron Throne at the end, or who wins? Who wins the Great War?
It's between Jon and the Night King.
I don't think it's either of them.
Or there's no throne.
I think there's either gonna be no throne. It might be the Night King. I don't think it's gonna be Jon. It's gonna be someone we're just not even expecting. I feel like.
Who do you think, BC?
I don't know who that would be though.
I think Jon wins. I think Jon wins.
Podrick.
Yeah.
Podrick.
Actually, it's Gendry.
Podrick.
It's actually Gendry. No.
He's rowing his way to the throne.
But I think Jon wins because that bittersweet ending.
Because he doesn't want it.
If Daenerys dies,
Yeah, some type of sacrifice. Yeah.
and most people die, but they somehow prevail, that would be a bittersweet.
Yeah.
And then when you throw in if Daenerys gets pregnant and has a kid, and then Jon has like
Child.
not a child, but not a bastard, but a motherless child that he has to raise by himself. Like there's some things you could play around with.
Or the
like
child
that.
dies.
Interesting.
Or the child dies. That could be bittersweet too.
We haven't even gotten the child
Could
yet, so
be.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We shall see. We shall see. We shall see.
Hopefully she gets preggo as fuck.
That's it. Game over for Game of Thrones Season 7. We'll probably do some more when it comes back in 2019. But until then, we'll probably have to find some new shows to watch, new shit to cover. Actually, a lot more upcoming in future episodes. Before we get into anything else, quick shameless promotion. Please follow the Boardwalk Driving Podcast Instagram and Twitter handles. Instagram at Boardwalk Driving, Twitter at BWD Podcasts. S, that's a plural on the end. Please don't forget the S. Music by Zach Sennett. You can find him on Instagram at Zach Sen, ZachSenn, and on Twitter at Zach Sennett. Sennett spelled Senit. You can find Austin on Instagram and Twitter at It's Austin Powell, as well as his music and EP Inc. out now on Apple Music, iTunes, Spotify, Amazon, Google Play, SoundCloud. He's everywhere. You can't escape it. Mykal Williams is on Twitter and Instagram at Mykal X Williams. Mykal is Mykal X Williams. You can also check out his YouTube channel, Cartoon Universe, where he reviews cartoons and Smashify. That's pretty much it. It's all done. Nothing left to talk about. You can stick around and listen to the music if you like. It's not bad. Or you can skip ahead to the next one. Episode 3, I think, talking to Jim. Talking about a bunch of bullshit. We can talk about Trump in that one, too. So, go ahead and fuck right on over there. And, let's keep this ball rolling. This is Boardwalk Driving Podcast, Episode 2. Thanks for listening, guys.